If you're gay and you're still in the closet and you haven't told your parents yet, this is my little story of what happened in my life. I was 17. I just got back from living in America for a year, and I was about to start the sixth form in England, where you do your A levels. And while I was living in America, my parents moved house, so they moved to a different side of London. So when I went home to a different house in a different town, different school. Everything was completely new. So I didn't have the baggage that was left over from my previous school experience. So if you go back to the first video in this series, you'll see that my school life wasn't particularly fun. Bullied every single day of my existence. Um, but I thought, things are a bit different now. I'm in a different town. I'm in a different school. I was in the best school in the country because I'm really clever. Not to boast, but I got accepted to the top school in the whole country for science, and I studied chemistry, physics, biology, and maths and general studies A levels. Um, so I'm 17. I'm older than everybody because I took a year break in between. So I'm already a little bit older than everyone, and I'm in an all boys school, 900 boys and 13 girls. It was the first year they'd started to accept girls into the sixth form. So that year they accepted, I think it was 13. Or it was a pretty small number. It was definitely less than 30 girls in the whole school of 800, 900 boys. So it was a very strange environment for me to be gay and in that space with all these boys and a lot of really, really hot boys. Because by then, 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old boys are starting to get all muscles and looking all fucking hot. And I'm like, oh, fuck, this is so nice to see all these hot boys everywhere. But I couldn't say a word. Couldn't say a word. And I was, so I hid who I was in the beginning, but I knew that about GAY and all the gay clubs in London. So on the weekends, I'd go up to London and I'd hang out in the bars and clubs, mostly Heaven and GAY. One night I'm in GAY and this boy starts dancing with me and he's super cute and I'm like, pretty good. So we start kissing and everything goes well and we go home together and we ended up in a relationship. And I need to tell my parents. I mean, I can't keep hiding forever. I've got to say it at some point because it's just ridiculous having to hide from my own parents. So I came up with a plan. Tell my mum. So it was my 18th birthday. So finally I'm allowed to go clubbing, even though I'd been clubbing for 2 years on a fake ID. I was now allowed to go clubbing. So I had a real ID this time, even though all the bar staff and all the security, they all knew me anyway. So I was all right. So I'm out with my mum and my boyfriend at the time. We go to a restaurant and we're sitting in the restaurant and I'm like trying to get the words out of my mouth and it was so difficult. I knew my mum would be cool. I knew it. I knew she'd be cool, but I couldn't say it. It was just a lump in my throat every time I tried to say it. And then Aaron got up and he winked at me and he said, I'm just going to the toilet. And I was, now's the time. Now's the time because if she freaks out, Aaron's not here. So he went off to the toilet and I was like, he's not just my friend, he's my boyfriend. Or something along those lines. I can't remember the exact words I said, which is I guessed that already. I've known for a long time and I was waiting for you to actually say it yourself because I wanted you to be ready and I didn't want you to deny it if I came out too soon and you weren't ready to say it. So I waited. And she came to get GAY with me. We had a party. It was really cool. And I was like, okay, so great. My sister knows. My mum knows. I've got a boyfriend. Now let's be like, now I've got to deal with my dad. Yeah. So that wasn't quite so nice to, yeah. So I didn't tell my dad. My dad found out accidentally. I was in bed and my boyfriend was lying on top of the bed. I was under the covers in the bed and he was lying on top of the covers on bed next to me. We weren't doing sex, we weren't naked, we weren't having sex, we weren't doing anything, but he was lying right next to me on the bed and my dad just walked in the room. Didn't knock, didn't do anything, just walked in the room. And he saw him lying on the bed right next to me, like being all snuggly, and he instantly knew. And he wasn't impressed, put it that way. He wasn't angry and violent, but my dad was the type of person who would just shut down and not talk to you if he didn't like something you did. There were so many times in my childhood he would just not speak to me for weeks, sometimes even longer, months. He was one of these people that would give you the silent treatment, or I remember a few beatings, but not too bad, not compared to some kids. Some kids get really seriously beaten by their parents. But yeah, there wasn't much physical violence, but it was very psychological. You had to always do what he wanted and do what he said, and have the same opinion or no opinion at all. You weren't allowed to have your own independent thought. I never felt like I could speak my mind around him. To say, be careful with what I said. So my dad now knows I'm gay. Okay, well at least that relief is that that I did, although I didn't say the words out loud to him, he knows now. So that fear of him finding out is over. And although he didn't react as like, oh wow, wonderful son, I love you anyway. I don't remember him ever saying I love you. But at least he knows now. And my mom wouldn't let him do anything to me. So I'm 18 now. I'm an adult. Technically in England at 18 you're an adult. So he could have thrown me out. He could have done some worse things than he did. But all in all, it went better than I expected. So okay, so my family know, and I'm not homeless. That's a win as far as I'm concerned, because a lot of people don't have that reaction when they tell their parents, and they end up in a far, far worse conditions than I was. So in a way, I felt safe now that at least my parents aren't going to make me homeless. So that put me in a position where I've started to get a little bit more confidence about saying it to other people. I had a boyfriend. All my family knew. So I'm like, do I tell people at school? I'm in an all-boys school. It could be really dangerous. It could be, I don't know, because there wasn't so much bullying there. So I felt a little bit more safe, but I still didn't know, because it's one of those things that although the school was full of more intelligent people than my previous school, you still don't know how they're going to react. So I was like, I'm not going to openly come out and say it. I'll have my boyfriend, and I'll still mask myself at school. Well, that plan didn't work. One day I'm out clubbing in London with my boyfriend. We're out GAY, and we come back on the train, and we're walking through the train station holding hands, bit drunk. He's like half passed out on me, so I'm kind of holding him. He's holding me. We're a bit wasted, and we're holding hands. And right in front of me is one of my friends at school, and he was like, "Hi, you alright? What's going on?" I was like, "Oh fuck." And the next day he told everyone, "Oh, Chris is holding hands with a boy." And that was it. All hell broke loose in school. Everyone knew within a few minutes that I was gay. And they were like, "Are you gay? Are you gay?" And I'm like, I could say no, I could deny it, but why deny who I am? Why should I have to hide who I am to be accepted in society? So I was like, "Yeah, I'm gay, so what? It's my boyfriend, so what?" They're like, "Oh my God, I've never met a gay person before." It was an interesting reaction. There was a few people that were a bit uncomfortable, to say the least. I got one of them threatened to stab me. He was blatantly like, I think that he was more similar to me than he wanted to accept. Because I always found this: the most homophobic people generally are hiding something, and they're using that homophobia to hide their true feelings, that they might actually be attracted to men. But that's another video. So everyone at school, and the whole 800, 900 boys, they all know that I'm gay now. So I was like, okay, well, now that I've come out, maybe that will encourage other people in the school to also like come out. And no, for the whole 2 years I was there, I was the only gay boy that had the guts to say it. Later, I found out about a few more. I found out at least another two, but I don't know how many others have come out since. So if you went to St. Olave's in 1997, 98, and you're gay, you should have come out then, boys. Anyway, so I'm at school and doing my A levels. Got a boyfriend. Family know. Everything's good, man. It's getting alright. You know, I was my depression from like when I was a teenager was still there in the back of my mind, that society just hates you. It doesn't believe that you should have the right to exist. So although I was now in a kind of safe bubble in my family, and at school they knew, but they weren't too violent about it. So I was like, okay, this is improving. My mental health is improving a little bit, but I was still using alcohol as a way of coping with the way that society treated me. And yeah, it wasn't a really particularly good place to be. And then split up with my boyfriend, so that like ripped me apart. We'd been dating for a few months, so it wasn't like we'd been together for years or anything, but we split up. So I'm on my own again, and I'm doing my A levels. I finish A levels, I do really well, and I get accepted to Imperial College in London, like one of the top universities in the world for science. So I'm like, change environment again. So I'm now in a completely new environment in London, surrounded by thousands of science students. This was now 1999, 2000. Had the internet, so I could, you started to be able to meet people online and things like that. But at this point, but when I started university, in my halls of residence, there was at least 100 students, I think, maybe more, 200 students. It was quite big. Can't remember how many. It was a lot of students. And one day we're sitting in one of my friends' rooms, and they're all smoking weed, and I hated it. I hated weed. The smell of I couldn't smoke anything. My lungs just couldn't do it. The hypersensitivity of my nose and my lungs meant I couldn't smoke anything. They're all smoking weed. And I'm like, oh God, this is disgusting. I couldn't breathe. And then one day we were sitting in there, and someone's like, have you ever met a gay person? And they're all of them in the room. They're like, no, I never met a gay person. Never. Have you ever met a gay person? Like, no, I haven't met a gay person. Have you ever met a gay person? And it gets around to me, and I'm like, fuck. What do I say? Do I say yes? I know a gay person. Do I say yes? I am a gay person. I was like, instantly this war of like, do I say it or not? Do I mask who I am, or do I admit who I am? Do I shrink back into the closet again, or do I say no, I am gay and I'm proud to be gay? And so I was like, okay, just say it, just say it, just say it. And in my head, it's just like, this is war. Like, don't say it, say it, say it, don't say it, don't say it, say it, say it, don't say it. And it's built up, and I was like, yeah, you do. You know someone who's gay. Like, oh, who is it? Who is it? Who is the gay one in here? Me. They're like, no, what, you gay, bro? I was like, yeah, I'm gay. Like, well, you don't look gay. You don't look like some feminine fairy guy. I'm like, come on, man. That's not what gay people are like. That's not what you see on TV. It's not real. So yeah, I'm gay. So what? Like, oh no disrespect, bro. We just never met anyone who's gay. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gay. So you now know I'm the token gay friend. And so yeah, in the whole Hall's residence, nobody else came out. Within minutes, everybody in the Hall's residence knew that I was gay. These things travel really fast. So if you're in a small community and you come out, everyone's going to know. So you need to be ready for that. If you're not ready to come out, you're not ready for everyone to know, then you got to make sure you're mentally prepared for that event, because within 1 second of you telling one person, the whole world knows. So I'm at uni. Everybody knows I'm gay. I'm I'm kind of like in a position now where I'm the most free that I've ever been, and yet still in my head this internal war is going on with the anxiety, the depression, the PTSD from all the abuse from decades of torture from people, and I still can't get over the point of being who I am without the fear of what someone's going to do to me because I'm autistic or gay. And now I end up adding on being vegan on top of that. So you get hated for being gay, hated for being autistic, hated for being vegan, hated for being alive by fucking everybody. I've had enough, man. Who cares what people do in the bedroom? Who cares what people eat? Who cares what clothes I wear? What anything? It doesn't matter. Be yourself. Be who you are, and tell everybody else to fuck themselves. You need to express your inner soul. And I now am confident in talking about this, but for years I wasn't. And it got to the point where I managed to get through the first year of university. It broke me, like the amount of work that it was. Like the difference from schoolwork, it was easy. I didn't have to think in school. School was just a joke to me. But then moving to the top university in the world, suddenly I have to work hard. I have to actually like learn stuff. Um, and it was really intense. It was 8 hours of school every day without a break. There was no lunch break. If you want a break, you take time off your labs. It's ridiculous. So I ended up in what I now know is autistic burnout. I was in complete mental shutdown. My body was just like, no, stop. You can't do this anymore. This is relentless torture of constantly. I mean, the second year of uni, I had to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. It took me 2 hours to get to university. I'd work for 8 hours at university and then another hour and a half to get home. I was absolutely exhausted. I'd do that every single day. And I needed a job to pay for it because my dad didn't give me any money. I had a little bit of student loan money, but paying for this was really hard. And I ended up my whole my nervous system. I think they call it a nervous breakdown or whatever. But yeah, I was a mess. I completely collapsed and I quit uni because I just couldn't cope anymore with the amount of overload on my system. So I'm at home, just quit uni. I was in the best university in the world and I just quit because the overwhelm was just impossible to deal with. So that didn't really go down well with my dad. He wasn't a big fan of me quitting university. But I learned what the internet was. And so I started working online. My dad didn't understand the internet. So he didn't know that you could just sit on a computer and make money. But I've been doing that for 27 years, making money online. So I knew it was a potential job. I didn't know quite how well it would go, but that's what I was doing. So I was working part-time in Tesco. I was doing shelf stacking and checkout, and it was like, oh my God, what have I done? I've quit a really good university. I'm absolutely burnt out. I've got this shitty job that I hate. It's just a mess. What am I going to do with my life? And then my mum left. She'd had enough of my dad being an arsehole. Fair play, she stuck with him as long as she did. But yeah, I got a phone call one day saying that my mum had gone and it was just me and my dad. And I was like, oh fuck. The end is in sight because my dad hated me. I knew that something pretty bad was going to happen. I didn't know what exactly was going to happen, but I knew something was not going to be too good in my favor right now. So yeah, that's yeah. So my mum left. Living at home, I had a separate part of the house, so it was a really massive house with a granny annex on the side. So I lived in the annex part, so I had my own little self-contained flat, and my dad lived in the other side. And sometimes he'd come in and shout at me, "Oh, you're gonna get a job, get a job, get a job, get a job, get a job." I couldn't stand the idea of having a job. No, absolutely no fucking way. I quit working in the supermarket. I'd tried working in fast food restaurants. Oh, it was a fucking nightmare. I hated it. But I was making money online. I was making like a few £100s here and there. And then the fucking kicker happened. Bow! And that's in part 4. So if you've enjoyed the story so far, like, comment, subscribe, and see you in the next part where I ended up homeless.